Stars. I'm Andrea Klim, and we have a great guest today, Gwendolyn Barry from Daughters of Isis. And hi, Gwen, and welcome to Turn to the Stars.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Gwen is, I met Gwen through my friend Nicole Tomasini, who you've seen on Turn to the Stars. And she's in one of my language of astrology classes that has been going on for the last, 8 weeks. And she is a special lady. She has, and so thank you, Nicole, for bringing us all together, because it's been a lot of fun. And so Gwen is from Daughters of Isis, and she is an old-time shamanic tool maker, an essential oil blender, multicultural perfumer. And could you share some history about your work and Daughters of Isis?
Well, I've always been fascinated with culture, and Daughters of Isis is an apothecary online that presents the traditions of our ancestors, which means multicultural. I was very fortunate in my freshman year to be accepted for a summer session with Joe Campbell. And so my interest in culture really began then, and I followed my fascination with it all my life. It wasn't until my mother crossed in 1988 that the pathway began to open for where I am now, as this shamanic tool maker, if you will. My younger sister and I, after losing my mom, I took my sister to Europe, where she dragged me into every apothecary and herb shop and metaphysical shop all over Western Europe. And when we came home, to keep family together, as it were, she and I decided to open a little shop in Pompano Beach. And it would be a bookstore, and my sister wanted very especially to put an herb room in, because she was so fascinated with herbs and such. And she's a Chinese herbalist now, an acupuncturist. So this was 1990. And she put the largest herb room in the state. Still, I think it beats anything out. I mean, we had over 300 jars of everything in the shelves. But to name it, where Daughters of Isis comes from, my mother was very fond of Egyptian iconography and such. And it just came to me naturally. It wasn't sort of a, this is my goddess tradition kind of thing. It was more of a family thing and an intuition, which has expanded over the years. I mean, you see my spiritual mother right up there above me. Yes, Isis, you know, she is the mother. She has been known to the Egyptians, to several cultures. She was the heart of heaven, like the first virgin mother, you know.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I know about White Calf Woman. I know about, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, but I didn't know, I don't know so much about the Egyptian culture.
Well, we're predating a lot of other, cultures and such. And the Egyptians, of course, full of magi, the solar system, the cosmos was their guide also, of course.
Yes.
Most culture.
Well, they built the pyramids in the way that they built them based
on. Yeah, they did. And that's part of my fascination and my study. But mother, this is who Isis is mother. And at the time, we had just come through 87 with the harmonic convergence. So there was a large energetic quality of grounding mother home on the planet. So Isis was more than just a name that linked us with our own mom. It was our mother. And yes, heart of heaven or heart of the cosmos, which would be the black hole of the Milky Way galaxy, as it is to the Maya. Um, but yeah, it stuck, and it felt right, and we walked with it. And we were in Pompano Beach as a little shop for 10 years. And people would come in and ask for herbs. And, you know, I got to working, I began to put my hands in the jars, and something very strange happened. I would begin to tell people the quality of the plants and what they were looking for, either in healing or magical, you know, properties or spiritual properties. I knew these. I would, the plants talked to me, and I'm a very show me, you know, grounded. I would run to the back and look through Jethro Kloss or Culpeper or Scott Cunningham or what have you, and say, my goodness, why was, well, genetically, I come from a family on the paternal side who were nurserymen. My great-great-grandfather wrote Into the Fruit Garden, the first treatise on grafting that is still used by, you know, horticulture today.
Wow.
And so there's a lineage there, and everything that, this is one of the reasons I'm taking your astrology classes, is so that I am better educated. But it's been a pathway of following my intuition or the guidance of friends who are aligned with me, which is something I think that is very potent right now. People are connecting in this strange time. So that's sort of the platform.
Well, you know, I want to bring this up because, of course, on Turn to the Stars, we're always going to connect the planets, but actually it's the plants on Earth that connect with the planets. And one of a lady that, when I first started studying astrology, Gwen, I knew the first year before I worked professionally, because there's a lot of education, as you know. And my first year, I knew I wanted to be a medical astrologer, meaning plant medicine. And that's why I went on to study shamanic practices, and I mean, full circle. And here I am 22, almost 23 years ago, and meeting such great people like you. I mean, we're really blessed of what's happening in the world right now, with everybody coming together that is here for the good of the whole.
Right.
And so, you know, when I thought about having you on the show, I thought, you know, let's call it Plants and Planets. And I just want to share the screen for a second and share your website. And I'm going to do that. But first, before I do that, I want to just share a little bit about plants and planets, because my favorite teacher, A.T. Mann, who's called the Einstein of our day of astrology. Look him up on Wikipedia, A.T. Mann. He's going to be on December 4th, everyone. But he's got a dear friend that he introduced me to in New Zealand. Her name is Georgina Langdale. And I just want to share my screen real quick and share this, because this is from her website, Georgina Langdale. I hope to study under her. She's got classes upcoming. And she says that plants also have their correspondences with the planets. And she believes, like I do, and we do, that the macrocosm equals the microcosm, meaning that what's above, so below, as above, so below. So plants, she says, also have their correspondences with the planets. And so gradually we can begin to build up a picture of the person and the plants that may support them. For example, if a person has a cold, dry constitution, then we could look at moistening and warming plants to help bring about balance. And with astrobotanics, a constitutional picture is built up of a person. The plants are identified that may offer support and balance, then the products are made specifically for that person. So there's a deep study of the chart in order to diagnose and to support good health. So I just wanted to bring this up just for a minute. And everybody, this is Georgina Langdale from New Zealand. And I want to come back here and honor my guest and bring back her page, which is her website. And here we go. This is Gwen's website. And Gwen, one of the first things, because of what we're experiencing in the world right now with the COVID-19, and I used it. I am currently in Ashland, New Hampshire, flew from Florida, Orlando, a couple days ago, and I had my Pro mask on, which is a ventilator that you charge, and it has a little battery, and it pushes air up through a tube into my N95 mask, which I cover with thieves that I got from you, covered with thieves on the inside. I had covered thieves all over me, my hands, my clothes, it's my ventilator.
That's the thing to do. I wanted to let you know you still have the other screenshot up, not daughters, but that's
okay. No, it's not okay. I have to get it up. Hold on. I didn't know that. So let me stop the share and let me do a new share. Thank you for telling me. I didn't know that. Okay. Now do we have it?
Yes, you do. Thank you kindly.
Please, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. What I did want to say about thieves is that it's a very old remedy. It was during the Black Death in Europe that it was formulated. It was formulated in Marseille, France, which is, a port of entry. And that's one of the ports that it began to boom through. The shipwrights walked the bow lines and got down to the docks and hurried through the city and spread the bubonic plague or the Black Death.
Yeah.
And there were the people, basically, it was a strange experience for me when all this came about. I've always had a thieves blend. My thieves blend is a little more extended than the majority of them, because I also add essential oils or plants from the studies of Hildegard Bingen, who was a polymath and abbess in the 11th century. And also there's a wonderful Brother Aloysius wrote to comfort the sick. And he basically put in his idea of what worked with plague too, because plague went through Europe for in and out of Europe for a few hundred years there. But in the 1400s, when it came into Marseille and the Black Death began to reign, the perfume shops in Marseille, there was one perfume shop, and it was the most, I think, the very most well-known and prosperous perfume shop in Marseille. And the owner had gone one evening as a ship docked to one of the importers' homes on the coast to a villa, came home quite inebriated, went upstairs to bed, and never got up again. That's how quick the Black Death worked.
Oh my gosh.
And the two apprentices and then two other young boys who would become apprentices, and how it worked in those days in that shop, they boarded his room up and put boxes and such around his door. And they knew that there was something bad happening. People had already began to fall for the first few days, and they understood something bad was happening.
What year was the Black Plague? Because I know that there was a planetary alignment.
Yeah, it was 14. I'd have to look it up. It's like 14.
I'll look it up.
30s or something. But the thing that happened there was that the they locked themselves in the perfume shop. And of course, in the perfume shop, in the back of it and such, they had all these wonderful apparatus and tools for distillation and creating steam baths and such, and plenty of wood. The circumstances at the time, these young men and boys, they stayed within, but they knew they had to get out, and they had no funding. They exhausted their funds after a few weeks, but they kept watching what the vermin were retreating from, what sense the vermin were repelled by. And so they took those scents. Now, a lot of people will tell you eucalyptus is the, ingredient that they used, but it wasn't. It was camphor, because there was no eucalyptus in Marseille, France at the time. But eucalyptus and camphor have the same kind of properties. And also, most of the herbs that you use with making thieves are mercurial. They're under the planet Mercury.
Really?
Which is, but you think about it, and it makes a sense. It's very,
well, and where's the north node of the moon right now? What direction is it pointing us? Gemini, ruled by Mercury.
Right. So these young men watched how the vermin were reacting to the different scents, and they came up with a standard of, they took clove, they took lemons, because it's the lemon, skin that has the essential oil in it. They took clove, lemon, cassia, rosemary, lots of fresh rosemary. It grew, I think, around, I am explaining to you a dream I had at the beginning of all this. And I think I was there. I think I was one of the little boys who dipped the clothing in the boiling vats and hung them on the hooks to go out, because they were thieves. But it's eucalyptus or camphor and rosemary. They created masks. They were the ones who created the masks to put these cloths soaked in essential oils and herbs stuffed as a filter for their breathing. And then they rubbed the essential oils on every part of their body. They dipped, that's where those black cloaks come from. These boys, before their death, shared with the court there how they managed to get in and out of the houses of the dead and rob them, because no one would go into the homes. They were scared of the black death, and well, they should be. But these young men figured it all out in a perfume shop. And they dipped their clothes, they did everything that they needed to do, and they went out and about, and they were safe, because the vermin would not go near them. The scent repelled them. And of course, we use this now just regularly, but in that day and time, I mean, this was very breakthrough. Using the plants and their fragrance, the scent, and the medicinal properties that were also being used there, to get away with going out, so they could trade with the farmer who lived 2 miles out to get food and bring it back and hoard in. They weren't doing this maliciously. They were doing it to survive.
Yeah.
And so basically, you have that going on. They did get caught. They finally got caught. And I think what caught them was that they smelled so good.
Wow. Wow. I looked it up, and it was 1347 to 1351, the Black Plague.
Right.
And the disease was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. And I know that in my research around this pandemic, there was a Pluto. You know what? Let's put that year in and put it up on the screen. Do you mind if I do that with the chart?
No, no.
All right, I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to put up a chart and we're going to look at, wait a minute. For some reason, it won't allow me to do it, but hang on. Let me see. Share my screen. All right, and let me just get the, put that year in and see what the planets were doing at that time, because what we're experiencing right now, Gwen, has not been experienced with these 3 planets that we've had all year long in Capricorn: Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. Pluto's going to remain for a bit, but we've got these other 2 that are going to step out on December 21st. Jupiter, biggest planet. Saturn, biggest planets in our solar system, so it's going to shift things. But let's go look at what that looked like here. Let me get out of here and put the Black Plague. I might already have it in here. Hang on, I might have the Black Plague. Plague, let me put Plague. I think I had it there. Oh, the Great Plague. That's not the Black. I don't know if that's a Black Plague. Let me look. Because I know I did it on another, yeah, France, no, this is 1720. That was a plague also. That was a Great Plague.
Right.
Let's get the Black Plague, because this is the foundation. If I could spell here.
This is just like class.
Isn't it fun?
It is.
You know, I think that people just need to know, and this was in France, right? Marseille?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Marseille. And I am actually, let's see, Marseille and which one is it? The Province Alpes?
No, it's the city.
This one? Okay. All right, so let's see. This was, they're saying in here, they don't say the month, and they just say the year. It actually peaked in 1347 to 1351. So let's just put January, pick a day.
Second.
January 2nd of 1346. Let's put 1347, it was peak. So let's put 1346 because it was coming in. We'll do a 12 noon chart. All right, and we're gonna put same, and we're gonna just take this off. Okay, here we have the Black Plague, and let's what we see got going on with Pluto here. Pluto is with Uranus squaring the sun. Woohoo! Sun is our health, our well-being, our light, our vitality.
Yeah.
And we have Pluto in Aries conjunct Uranus, crazy, unexpected things that affect the person, the human, the self. A square means that this would be a time of incredible growth. We should also look at Neptune, because Neptune has to do with the immune system. Neptune was in Aquarius at that time, so this was just starting in. Let's look at 1347. One year up. Wow, look at that. We got Jupiter's, we've got Pluto, Uranus squaring the sun, Mars. Wow.
Look at the 9th house.
Yeah, the 9th house is right here.
Right.
Foreign lands, foreign cultures, but also at learning, Mars in Capricorn.
Yeah.
And we've got the opposition, Saturn in Pisces conjunct the South Node, conjunct Venus in Pisces. Pisces is the, you know, Pisces can be deeply suffering, but the North Node was in Virgo. So we were, you know, humanity was on a search for health and well-being. That's Virgo.
Right.
Health and well-being. But I think that this right here was the signature of the Black Plague. Pluto, it started out with these two right next to each other in 1346. And
Yeah.
it was peaking in 1347 until 1351.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
It is. It is. I have a lot of grounding in Hermeticism and the as above, so below dictum. You know, we're talking about Tahuti, Toph, and Hermes, and it's all, but all too very mercurial. And right now, most of these herbs, my blend for thieves is basically, I'll give it to you right now, and I can tell you where the plants come from. Um, it's I should know this. My blend includes, I got from Hildegard Bengen, sweet marjoram, which is definitely a mercurial plant. Um, I also, with rosemary, I added red thyme, which is another one of hers. And believe it or not, and it seems so no-brainer to a blender or perfumer, with this, it's a very Eastern or Mediterranean sort of scent because it's spicy. It's that incense spice, or blend of cassia, and I add cinnamon leaf to it, rosemary, and a lemon, but I trade out for lemongrass because of the medicinal curative in them. I also, what I top it off though, I do add some lavender flower.
Oh,
And
nice.
so this is, but you've used the spray itself, and the nose knows. And some people it's too strong for, but they will use it, and very sparingly. But what it is these, and many people are making, many small makers especially are making thieves oil right now, and all of them are good because they start with this basic blend which works. It's the lemon, the rosemary, the cassia, the clove, and the eucalyptus. And
Nice.
use those. It's not a curative, it's a preventative. And what it does, but I tell you what, it will kill COVID on contact with your mask.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's important. You have to, especially if you're flying, it's a good idea to have glasses on.
I did. I had my glasses. I
Yeah.
had my pro mask with my ventilator. I had the thieves in it, on the inside, the outside, all over my hands, all over my clothes. And when I got here, I stripped my clothes off, took a bath, and I was like, I felt safe.
Yeah.
I
No,
felt safe.
if people would just understand, in every box I'm sending out these days, I put a little tiny bottle of thieves oil, and then I created from my astrological essences, I created it with Rescue Remedy, a COVID and astrological sort of rescue for right now, because as you say, we are under this stellium of the Jupiter, under Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Woof. I mean, woof. 2020 has been a heck of a year. And there's been some very positive, it's always, the growth comes from the destruction. So,
Well, we
it's
really,
power.
we really, one of the things I do, Gwen, and I do this work. I learned it working with myself because I had in recovery from PTSD. So bad that I couldn't leave my house. It was so bad, and from some experiences. And so my healing story is that I use frank and myrrh, and I put it in my hands, and I smell it, and I close my eyes, and I envision whatever is there that comes up that has to do with that PTSD. The essential oil is connecting with the pain in my body where it's being stored, where the memory's being stored, and I see it like this it's like water on a piece of glass that just you take a blow dryer and it just moves it all away, and it is so awesome. I cry with happiness when I'm done with the meditation, because your body, your organs, they store memory. Your body stores memory. The connection is so important. And your oils, I mean, they're awesome. I did that with thieves on the plane. I kept doing this even though I had my mask on. And I was like, you know what? People need to know. People need to know. And I mean, I'm up here in New Hampshire, and it's home to me. I stepped off that plane. I'm like, because I grew up in New England. I lived in New Hampshire for 15 years. And in Florida has taken a long time for me to call home, but now I'm calling it home. But when I got here, I got off the plane and I sniffed the air and I was like, oh, I'm home. But you see what's behind me here? I'm in Ashland and the mountains. And I got my sister as a telescope, her very, very best friend, looked at the planets here. So we're going to look at the lunar eclipse.
Oh my gosh, that's coming up, isn't it?
November 30th, but it's going to be just past sunrise, but it is moving right over the United States.
Yeah, it's supposed to be somewhat visible.
Penumbral.
Yeah.
Means it's partial, but
Yeah.
very powerful. Now, lunar eclipse, and I don't want to come back, and I want you to tell us more about your oils, because this is really important. Is there, like, there's a lot of people suffering from depression right now, and emotional distress, and mental distress, and especially the elderly. I have a very good friend whose mother does not want to get out of bed and she's almost 90, and it's
green apples, and it's not even an essential oil, it's a fragrance, but you can get one that is made, you know, pure, made, what's the word I'm looking for, so that it's safe. But the scent of green apples, even getting a bowl full of Granny Smiths in the house, the scent of green apples awakens something in us that revives and refreshes. It is also a wonderful scent to use if you're trying to abstain from an addiction.
Addiction, and that's another thing, addiction.
I wanted to tell you before you speak of frank and myrrh, you do realize that frankincense and myrrh are the magi, the astrologer's scents. I figured you did.
Well, that's what they brought to Jesus, right? The Magi, the three Magi's brought a gift of frank and myrrh. It's my favorite incense, and well, I do know I had a lifetime where I've done so much past life regression, where I was standing with my mother. I was a little boy, and we were standing at our door, and I looked, and there was Jesus in front of me carrying his cross. And I never forgot that. And but frank and myrrh is my healing, because I've had so many near-death experiences, and I've seen Jesus right in front of me save my life a couple times.
Yeah, I actually, my first year in school, in some of my alternative classes, I was taking what they called at the time parapsychology,
Yeah.
now science, but we were cataloging near-death experiences, and it was a big influence on me, because I was searching, you know. I want, you know, show me. I mean, I had the parochial school education back when we actually had nuns. Yeah, one.
I know, I grew up Catholic too.
It's a classical education.
It sure is.
It's a very founded, I mean, for all of the hoo-ha, there's so much science and logic and good learning in it.
Well, do you know that in the Robert Hand, really awesome astrologer, theosopher, he went into, I've been to several of his classes, and he was invited into the Vatican, into the vaults, to read the ancient scripts. You do not get invited there unless you are.
It's a personal.
It's
item.
a very, it's an honor. It's a real honor. And why am I telling you this? I forget.
Oh, because basically right now, I think all of these subjects and everything.
Oh, yes. The South Node Sagittarius, Gwen. That's why I was saying it, because we're all, and this is, can you recommend something for people to use for when they have these memories, these old stories that keep coming up and they keep replaying in their life? We're meant to go forward, but you know, I said this on my show the other day, we don't just get over things. We need to have some assistance from our friends, our family, the plants, the people around us. We don't just get over things. You don't just forget your story. It's your story. It's real.
Transform your story. It's
That's right. What oil?
sonic journey. We have to go into the darkness. Maybe the best representation is the old Hellenistic mystery school systems, where they push you through the cave of darkness, through all of fear, and at the end what you actually get shocked by and are faced with is the mirror, the black mirror, which is your face. It's the beast within. Basically right now we are going through a collective and that's initiation, and we are going through a collective initiation. We know that we have scrubbed the surface of the planet to a point where if we don't do something now, the future generations, and this is what ties me to the indigenous communities, and probably why I've had so many indigenous teachers and, you know, studied the rest, mostly self-taught, but it's the future generations. It's your nieces and nephews, your daughter, her children. It's, you know, this is how indigenous communities across our planet have always known. And that's why I go through the culture. And what I'm doing is translating the old traditions and wisdoms of our ancestors in the spiritual and also in the everyday life into my thing is the plants, but also the environment. You know, every mineral and crystal and gem has a planetary affiliation.
Yes, it
I,
really does.
I think Melody, who only just crossed recently, Melody, who was a great gal, she was the one who really affixed a lot of that very well. She did the numerology and she was a geologist. She had her in science.
That's my sister is a geologist. Well, she's, yeah.
Kind of
I wanted to say, Gwen, what oil in the process, because you know I'm educated also in shamanic practices under Sandra Ingerman, great lady. But what essential oils could be added to the ceremonial practice of releasing the past, being at peace with the past, and what other essential oil would support the future and the knowledge and the integration of the division coming together and us being as one? What would support that?
You know what I'm going to tell you, and this is very Mary Magdalene, Jesus, the apostles, the conflicting, you know, truths from there and everything. The oils that she carried to anoint with were spikenard, sandalwood, and frankincense. It's the sandalwood and the spikenard. The spikenard is very important. I think it comes to bear in these moments because these are crossing scents. If you go back to your Egyptians or your ancient Maya, or not ancient, they're classical, but I mean beyond them into the Olmecs. In the East, the very far East, into the Yellow Emperor and predating him, you have spikenard in Viking room, you know, coffins and such.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
crossing herb, and we are crossing right now. We are coming from what was into what we are being challenged to become. We are at a point, a lot of people will say, of paradigm shift or whatever. This is a moment of evolution, and astrologers have told us we are coming to the conclusion. Right now, we, I think, are in the bedrock of marshaling in Aquarian age, and that's 26,000 years through each constellation. It is called an astrological great year. We're at a point of evolution.
That's
And
right.
if you notice the history of and the science of biology and humanity and how we have evolved, we speed up every
Oh,
time.
yes.
And right now
Warp speed.
we are on afterburner.
Yes.
So I would go with spikenard, sandalwood, frankincense is always a good, that's the sun, that's the above. What is below is, and myrrh is a cosmic, it's above the sun. Myrrh is the deepness of space. I would go for grounding sense. Now, a lot of people are going to think, whoa, hippie. But you,
Hey, you're Pluto Leo generation, right?
yeah.
Hey, you know what?
I really wasn't hippie, but I come on that
I love
cusp.
hippies.
I came shooting out into the 70s, actually. But here's the thing, deep, loamy, rich earth scents, like, and grassy scents too, like vetiver, patchouli. These scents, and you can't find, here's the other thing too, which is going to shift the planetary influences on certain plants on this planet in the next 100 years. The earth changes in our soil and in our weather has shifted the actual fragrance and planet medicinal qualities of different plants. And this is not really being cataloged well enough.
Yes.
And someone like your Australian friend who is so good with planetary affixing with the plants should, you know, will be someone who will bring all of this information to its beginning point, because it'll be cataloged beyond us, you know.
Yeah.
In it's I oak moss. Oak moss is an absolute, but it's an oil and it's available.
Can I ask you a question? Which ones can you identify the ones that are used for the finding peace with the past? What are those? What is that category? And what are the ones associated with opening our hearts to the future, to the new age of equality and together?
Opening your hearts to the future, you cannot go wrong with a citrus. You really can't.
I love that.
And you combine it too with a root, which is really, it puts a twist on the citrus that grounds it. Angelica.
Oh, I love Angelica.
Yeah, you really have to blend Angelica well, because if you don't, it gets bitter. But if it's done lightly and it's combined with also to bring comfort to the heart at this time right now, there are, you know, one of the best things you can do is go into the garden and smell in the spring.
Oh, I love it.
The lilac. Or
Oh,
down here, if you have gardenia around, it's cloying. These cloying, overwhelming scents are, they've gotten potent. Old rose bushes in New England right now are incredible. The scent of rose in the north, in the northern.
What is yellow? What does yellow rose mean?
That's forgiveness. That is allowing forgiveness. It's also giving you a warning that there's deception around you.
That's my favorite rose, though. It's me. To me, it means friendship.
It in the Victorian book, it's often referenced as friendship. It's sent. And another thing I should probably say is that in my journey, when I began to put my hands in the jars, and then when people started asking for essential oils and I started ordering them, I was at that time we had workshops with one of the influences on me was the author Ted Andrews. And
Oh,
Ted,
I
Ted
love.
Ted guided me to always look for my confirmations, and he also gave me great clues on how to hear clearly my guides and to discover them around me, which most of them are indigenous to this country. I also have Celt and Egyptian, as you might imagine. But
Yeah, I have a question. I have a question. Can I ask a question? I have my son, my oldest child, is 32 and is terrified of, he's trying to overcome, he got injured when he was younger and had to have surgery on his back, and he got addicted to opioids. And this is an epidemic across the world.
it is.
And he's terrified to do an ayahuasca ceremony of what is trapped inside of him. And so is there something you could recommend?
Okay, great. You're going into a territory that I've been working on. What they tell you cannot do, I do. I don't pay attention to the rules.
Yes.
I have for the last, especially since I got into studying the classic Maya and creating the calendrical sense, I have been making, this is the thing, homeopathy. The flower essences and the, the vibrational essences. I use planetary influences in my essences, and I put them in my mists to complement the fragrances and the energy that I work with to put into them. Homeopathy, I created an ayahuasca tea, and then I made a homeopathy of it. Now that he could work with.
He wouldn't be scared. That wouldn't make him scared.
But he doesn't need to be, because it's not going to, the floor will not descend beneath him.
That's what he's scared of, yeah.
Well, I can't blame him. Many people who have gone through it have not come out the other side with the same spiritual qualities and whatnot. I've worked with, psychotropic drugs, but I worked with, besides the stuff when, I was a kid and in college, orange sunshine this weekend, everybody. No, I have worked with the plants with my indigenous teachers and peyote ceremony and such. That was fun. Boy, but I have been guided to create the homeopathy. Now that's the 1 millionth part in
Can people order that from you, Gwen?
Well, I haven't put it onto the shelf yet. That's a thought. I put it into, yes, people can call me and talk to me.
Yeah.
And I will absolutely, that's part of my job. That's part of my path.
My son is, I want so much to see him well. And he goes, Mom, I'm soul searching. And his name is Ryman. He was named after the keeper of the rye. And he's got such a heart of gold, and I have two grandsons, and it just breaks my heart to see him suffering like this. And he's trying so hard.
The homeopathy, here's how it works with the ayahuasca, and I've worked with these now for over 15 years. I've been doing it. I have also, like a lot of homeopathy, you've seen aconite and belladonna and homeopathy, and it works. Homeopathy works. And this is the vibrational essence. So with the psychotropics, the ethnobotany, it knocks on your door softly from down through the bodies of consciousness, from your mental body down into your astral to find the door, to open up. You get the aha moments with these. You're going along and all of a sudden, aha, oh my God. And it's these subtle essences
I have another question because this is so exciting, Gwen. I am so thrilled to have you on your I just decided that you're the Merlina. Instead of Merlin, Merlina alchemist. Not Merlin, you're the Merlina of alchemy.
Well, someone called me the glitch, but
no, Merlina. You're Merlina. Merlin was the greatest alchemist, of that time. And what I wanted to ask you is for, oh gosh, I lost the question now. And it was really, really important to do. Um, oh, no, I can't find
well,
it.
do you
How
know?
about your memory?
No, do you notice how we're all doing this and there's no age? Because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start pounding down ginkgo biloba or something. No, it's not. It's not age. It's not. My 29-year-old firefighter paramedic nephew is doing this. What was I saying? Wait a minute. And then it comes back to you 5 minutes later.
Well, I've had 3 concussions in 3 years, so.
Whoa. What are you doing out there, honey?
Well, I am living through some past life stuff in Florida, and it's hit me on the head 3 times. So I need something to help with my memory because the bump is finally gone from the last one, but my memory is suffering from it. Is there something I can do with essential oils that will help to restore that in any way, or help
yes,
it?
there are some essential oils that'll work with memory. Vetiver is one. I know we've spoken about it before, but Vetiver is one. Another one that you could work with is a balsamic pine. Not a needle, but the balsam, the wood. A balsamic fir would help in that. But you know what else would help a whole lot is like I'm talking about the homeopathy. And you can work with, I've made it of marijuana, I've made it of the ayahuasca, I've made it of psilocybin mushroom, which is incredible, an incredible tool. And these are not, I'm not talking microdosing, which I know a lot of people are doing right now. And that's fine. That's not my gig. What I do is I create the subtle essence, the soft knock, coming through the subconscious to the conscious mind with that aha moment, And when you work with plant consciousness, you have to work with energy too. Like if your son was to work with the ayahuasca essence, every time he put it under his tongue or over his heart center or took a bath with it, he would wake that diva up and say, look, this is my intention for use. A lot of folks don't really understand that when you're working with plants on the subtle level like that, it's always good to wake them up and say, hey, this is why I'm taking you. Please help me out. And it's a gradual thing, because it's subtle.
Yeah.
When I mix it in and charge it with a bottle of mist, I just actually happen to have one of these of the thieves right here. I put the COVID and astrological rescue into this when I'm making it. And I always, put the light into it and say, wake up, please work with people to get through this awful time and wonderful time, because it's both. It's always.
It's the intention along with the medicine, the plant medicine, the intention in anything you do. Intention is because your intention is for the highest and best good. And I have a question because this just came up to me. Brain cancer tumors. What for people that are having that disease?
That's a hard one for me. Lost with that.
Yeah,
and
my
a lot of it around. There's a lot of it around, and I've often thought of it as if I'm my own worst enemy at the bench, because what I think is a good remedy, and I work with people, and I've worked with a couple of people, only 2, that have come into my influence, or my circle, to ask about that or to look for some relief, and I go to the books. I was explaining before, most of what I get, I hear, it comes to me, and I allow that. It took me many years to ground that and to be good with it. And of course, whatever I hear, I run to the books. I back it up. But with the brain tumor, there are many ways you can go, and the homeopathy is out there for it already. With essential oils, with fragrance, I would work with someone individually, uniquely, and ask them certain questions, because basically, I'll never use iCal again. It's because, people get rescued. We all have an individual and unique library of what scent means to us, unique memories. When we awaken in the womb, it's because we taste and smell. That's our first sentientness, is the taste and smell of mother and father, is right there in the womb. So scent is a unique tool that always works just like that. You can be walking down the street, right? You'll smell something, and all of a sudden your memory will pop on of when you were a child, or when you were with somebody, or what. That's how the limbic memory works. And basically, when I think what my guidance is trying to instill in me is that I have to work with people uniquely or individually to find out by question where the place is inside them with the memory of scent, to work with any kind of, in most cases, of cancer. You know the story of the young man who went to the analyst, and he had prognosis negative brain tumor?
No, I don't.
In California, this was in the late 90s or mid 90s. And he suggested to him, because his favorite hero was Luke Skywalker. And he told the child, well, he was teaching him visualization technology, or what healers work with every day, creative visualization, creating light. He taught him to use light that way as Luke Skywalker, and to attack his brain tumor. He showed him pictures of his x-rays and where it was in his head, and then challenged the boy to be Luke Skywalker. Said, this is how you can heal yourself from the fear. You can heal yourself from the anxiety every day. Now, the kid, I don't know how old he was, but he wasn't past 11. That I do know. So there was a corridor of authenticity and belief there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The kid's tumor disappeared after 8 months.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes.
I would work with people uniquely. I mean, I ask people strange questions when I'm looking to create a specific blend for them of scent or of flower essences to work on their issues or to achieve their goals and challenges being met. And I will ask them strange questions, like, where was the favorite place you had as a child to hide? And I've read all of the criteria for flower essence and practitionering and such, but I listen to my guidance, and I've had great good luck with it. I just consider it good luck, but it's spirit telling me, this is what you tell them, and that's where they will go. So, that place, can you imagine that place? Can you remember the scent of that place that was your favorite place or your hiding place when you were a child? And many people can't.
I have, what about, here's the big question, because of what the warp speed of change that's happening on this earth right now, what is it all the way around that will help people. I talked about this on my show I recorded the other day. It was called Narcissists, the Empaths and Narcissists, and what are the astrological signatures? There's different signatures of those. And many people are, including myself, I'm an empath, but the thing that's really, really interesting is that the empath is constantly looking for the narcissist because they have such power and they crave that. That's an addiction of power because they don't feel worthy. And so my question is, what was my question here? Uh, here we go again. But my question, I think my question is here is for the empath who's constantly hoping that the narcissist will change to fit what they dream of. Is there something that is helpful? But now there's different signatures because the hardest one of all, Gwen, is the fixed cross squared off because they do not normally remember the pain that was associated with the trauma that they experienced and that shaped them. And that trauma is so deeply ingrained, and that would be the hardest one. So we have the fixed. I'm sorry?
They relive it. They bring it back into their path.
And they don't even know it because they won't acknowledge their will is so stronger than the will to survive and just get through it and change to adjust to what the narcissist needs. So I think my question is and maybe this is for another show, there's the fixed cross squared off or just fixed squares that are extremely difficult. And then there's the cardinal cross and the cardinal cross squared off or the cardinal T-square, which is about action. So the fixed is about the will, the cardinal is about the action, and the mutable is about the environmental effects. And so the mutable is easiest to change. The fixed is the hardest. The cardinal is like the in-between, and that one. So I think this would be a great topic for another show because this is an epidemic also.
Yes, and the linchpin is the cardinal point. It would be to me logically, and it would be here at the bench.
Yes.
One of the things that inner journey work and so much, there has been a pickup of, I'm talking to my people at New Leaf Distribution in Atlanta, and they supply a majority of the country's wellness and metaphysical and, stores and centers. And there has been a kick up in business. People are well, they're at home. But people are going inner.
Yeah.
If you take a look at 2020 and what has happened to us right now, we are at a time when we are being forced to go back into the middle age kind of lifestyle, being secluded at home, and it's going to kick up big time because travel and everything. It's going to spike. And by Christmas, we're going to be in a self-imposed lockdown in many places in this country. We're getting there today.
Oh, yes. And when Mars squares Pluto for the third time, December 14th, 15th, I think that the abyss is the best place for us to be, which is in a place where we're safe, it's quiet, and we can meditate, we can journey, we can put on beautiful music, we can dance, we can do all the things that make our heart sing in a safe place.
You're right. And it's also time where we're relearning family value.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Of family. And because of this global consciousness that we're using right at this moment, because of this technology, we are all connecting with one another as satellites.
You know what I think we should do? I think we ought to, December 21st, when Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius, I think we ought to open up a Zoom portal for anybody that wants to join us in a place of meditation or journey. And we'll lead everybody, and we can all get sense from you so that we can all be surrounded by this incredible across the world connection.
Really, we're talking about a project that I'm working on with a couple of healers and Asa.
Really?
Yeah, and Asa and Murphy, and these ladies up in South Carolina in Spartanburg, wonderful healers. She's a cranial sacral, therapist, and the other is a nurse, and they're healers. We've been working on and off on this project of bringing about these kinds of portal meditations in you as an astrologer, just because I said the last time we did a little meeting on Zoom, I said, there is a convergence coming.
That's right.
And that's what we're headed towards. And this is part of what we're doing. Murphy and I are making the tools kind of thing. We're grabbing water from pure points of wells or streams, or, just pure point waters throughout this country, because I do believe, and I keep going back and forth, am I being an American eccentric, but we are the lamplight of the planet. That's why we're such a mess now.
And you know what's happening here, Gwen, I just want to say this, is that on that point, the brighter our lights get, the stronger the darkness is going to, but so we need to join together, link together, connect together, and that is the age of Aquarius, and I'd love to join you guys. Are you doing it on the 21st,
Well, I think it'd be a wonderful thing, and I'll bring my people in, and I'll send you a link to, where are we? Friday mornings, Lisa has a meditation. I'll share the link, because we're trying to bring in good people to be. I think you'll be very interested and very uplifted by her meditations. We are talking about out and coming back in, and grounding to the planet, and healing and bringing everyone together.
Well, thank you very much. I'd love to do that. Do you know, we had a total lunar eclipse. I believe it was the harmonic convergence in 2003. Was it 2003 or 4?
That date sounds familiar.
Well, I was a part of a group that up in Manchester, New Hampshire at that time, called the Gala Goddess. And they invited me to come and talk on, this was a total lunar eclipse, and that total lunar eclipse formed a beautiful, there's a type of astrology that I just get these visions, and I saw these things before in my head before I even saw the charts, and I had to figure out what they were, but this was the most beautiful six-sided star, and it was formed by the lunar eclipse. And I spoke in front of, 100 people at Gala Goddess, and we went out and watched that total lunar eclipse. It was incredible. I mean, none of us had our feet on the ground. It was just the energy of going from the dark to the light. A lunar eclipse, which is what we have on the 30th, is about our emotions, our soul memories, our feelings, our unconscious responses, our families, our lineages. And a north node means we got to go forward. We need the knowledge, the information to do that. And we're all helping each other by networking. Gemini's networking.
I agree. I agree completely. And we're going into that lunar eclipse, and on the 4th, I'm having my solar return. Well, whenever my solar return is, I hope it's the 4th.
Well, you ought to let me check that out for you. I can tell you, because location.
My lunar nodes are flipping back on me and going back to Gemini.
Well, you're doing your north node right now.
Oh, Oh, well, that makes sense. I'm having a few physical issues, but
No, by that I mean, and I won't go in anything personal, but we're all meant to do our north node, not our south node, but we automatically, unconsciously are doing our south node to start because it's comfortable. The north node points us in the direction we came here as a soul to achieve.
I know that. I know I'm being shot out of a cannon. I know.
Yes.
It's like everybody gives you this big thing, especially the astrologers I work with in the shop, your Saturn return is going to be, yada, yada, difficult, la, la. I shot right out of a cannon for my
Good.
Saturn return. So I'm like, okay, 11 year, here we come.
Yeah, well, I'm about to my Saturn return, wait a minute, second Saturn return. I'm 58. So, and that's happening too. So, Gwen, how can people reach you?
DaughtersofIsis.com, just one, or they can find me on Facebook. I'm Gwendolyn Barry. Also on Instagram as GH Blender or Daughters of Isis. And my phone number is there. I'm always at the bench. I'm happy to speak with anybody if they have questions about the website or what I have.
Gwen, thank you so much. I want to have you back to talk because
Thank you for having me.
Oh, honestly, we are of like minds where there's no mistakes in anybody you meet. And there's so much medicine and so much abundance on this earth. And the planets are constantly trying to tell us, listen, 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 listen. Nature, on this lunar eclipse, nature is speaking loudly to us. I drove through the White Mountains last night. Oh God, I was in heaven. And
Wow.
and there's snow on the top of the mountains up here.
Yes, I heard it was snowing in Maine too. So
Yeah, it snowed this morning here, and I'm looking out every morning. I get up and we see these gorgeous mountains here, and I'm just like I'm home here, because I'm native New England, French descent. My great grandmother was Papin, a Native American, First Nations person, Abenaki.
Okay.
So it's great being back here. And I mean, home is in Florida now, but I think I might be a snowbird.
Well, I'm very happy where I am now, but I also have an excellent opportunity in my life right now. So I'm going back to the cold and New England. And I figure I better get to be a snowbird or there'll be some problems.
Well, I had my sister's, I haven't worked with a wood stove in 5 years. We used to heat with it, and she has this great wood stove. I got it up to 80 in here, and she goes, "Oh my God." So
yeah.
nice.
Don't forget to vaporize,
Oh yeah, she has. She's so in tune. She's awesome. Well, Gwen, thanks for tuning in with us today and sharing your knowledge. And
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun.
We'll do it again.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Today is the day before Thanksgiving, and I don't call it Thanksgiving. I call it thanks and giving.
What are you grateful
Giving
for?
thanks. What I'm grateful for is being exactly where I'm at right now, which is in a place of bliss. And I'm grateful for my family being together for the first time since my mother passed away in 96.
Wow.
My mother is, she died at 55 of cancer. And so it's a very special Thanksgiving here.
Congratulations.
What are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful, very thankful for a second opportunity at having my own family, I guess. I mean, who would have thought?
So happy for you.
And I'm very, very grateful for my family here. My nephew is a firefighter and paramedic down in West Palm, and he's working right on the front line. So, folks, please remember our medical care workers, our frontline people, always say thank you for the service.
Yeah, yeah.
And tomorrow, I think everybody should try and see White Christmas.
Oh, I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. Sing White Christmas. We'll have to sing White Christmas. I love it. I was singing, oh my gosh, last night we had just a quick little story here. I went up to visit my friend Jim Glidden in Littleton, New Hampshire. He's been on my show before. He's a chaga expert. I met him going up the Cog Railway in 2014. He was the engineer with my family, and he handed me a little piece of chaga that changed my life. And so I went to his house and had dinner last night, and oh my gosh, we ended up dealing with some major ghosts there and finding some incredible passages to peace. So it was so beautiful. Jim is going to be on the show coming up. You can find him on Facebook, Nature Man. But this is the piece of chaga he cut off a tree. Jim is an incredible guy. He cut this.
Wild.
Isn't that incredible? He gave me this, and I mean, him and his wife Kathy are just the sweetest people. She made me a turkey dinner. She went out, she grew the turkey. The turkey she mothered, nurtured, cared for, and then of course it became our dinner last night. But she did the whole process herself, made us a turkey dinner with stuffing and peas and asparagus. And I mean, it was so lovely. I mean, just.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving tomorrow. It might be the last one I spend in Florida for a while.
Well, you know what? Wherever we are in the world, what COVID has done is connected us all through the technology, and you know, we have to be thankful for that, because I'm a Gemini. I need people.
Well, I'm a Sag. I got to tell somebody a story.
Well, everyone, you know what a great connection, Gwen. Gemini, Sag, we're opposite signs, but you know what? Opposites connect. And we brought, you know, I hope everyone that's watching, call Gwen about, you know, call her, contact her. She's great. She's the Merlina of our time, you know, of alchemy. That's what I say. That's just my version.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to keep that in my little book. I wrote it down.
And she also has the same name as my favorite grandmother. Well, not my favorite, but my mother's mother was Gwendolyn.
Oh, really? Well,
Gwendolyn Boucher, Lumbra. Yeah, yeah. So everyone, thanks for watching us. Gwen, thank you so much for joining today, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All righty. And remember, everybody, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. Thanks for tuning in.